The Reopen America podcast. This is Chris Nelson. It is July 13th, 2020, and I have Miami congressional candidate Omar Blanco with me today. And did I say that right? Is it Blanco or Blanco?
It's Blanco.
I think every Spanish-speaking person would know that, and I think the fact that I've been around kind of close to Miami for a while, I'm getting used to it. So it's Blanco. There's no like rolling of the L though.
No.
Okay.
You're fine. I mean, I gotcha. It works.
All right. Well, I have heard a whole bunch about you, and please, anybody listening, go ahead and share this podcast because we need to know our candidates. And Mr. Blanco is running against our good friend, and I say that tongue-in-cheek, Carlos Gimenez, who is the mayor of Miami. And that Republican primary is coming up on August 18th. However, absentee ballots have just been delivered. So pretty much the election is like right now.
That's correct. Yeah. So the absentee ballots have dropped in Monroe County, and they'll be dropping this coming weekend over in Miami-Dade County. So the pretty much we're in full steam ahead. So we're driving back now from Key West. Had to come down for a meet and greet where I was supposed to debate or a forum with my opponent, and he was a no-show. So I was able to talk to the voters and tell them a little bit about myself, answer some questions, and now we're heading back home. So we stopped here real quick to do this podcast.
Well, thank you for coming on. And you have one opponent, and that's Carlos Gimenez, and he was absent from this debate.
Yeah, so he didn't show up. This is the second time they put an event. First time he didn't show up, saying that he couldn't make it. He had to turn around. He had a major issue down in Miami and look for it in the news. So the next day I looked at the news. There was nothing really that hadn't already been happening. So today I guess he wanted to do some press release. I haven't even looked at it yet, but they said he had some press release, and so it is what it is. Look, I'm in this race to win it. I'm in this race to represent this district, and I've been the only candidate who's been present throughout, talking to the voters and getting to know what their issues are, and make sure that we move in a direction that I think we all need. Congress has a less than 20% approval rating, and as Trey Gowdy says, if you want to change Washington, change who you send there, and I believe that that's what we need to do. Send people who are willing to put in the hard work to represent the people, not only while they're running for office, but while they are the representative, and be out here communicating and talking.
Now, he's running for Congress right now as a Republican. And honestly, I didn't even know this guy was a Republican until not long ago because he doesn't hold any kind of conservative values whatsoever. So I was surprised that he's a Republican. Now, he's running for Congress now, but he's not giving up mayor. So basically, if he doesn't win this, he'll be mayor for what, like another 2 years?
No, actually, his term's out now in November, so I think this is which way he wanted to go. He's never run in a partisan race, so he finds himself in a very difficult situation. And ultimately, our goal is to flip this seat red and come November, and it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take someone who is willing to do whatever it takes. And I guarantee you this: I will outwork both of my opponents, both my primary and my opponent in the general, because I think that's what we need to do in order to be successful. And it's pretty much what I think those that are successful are doing throughout our country, and fighting to protect the very freedoms that we have. So I'm in for the long haul. I'm going to do whatever it takes.
That's awesome. Now, I like to do this from a perspective of somebody that might not even know like what's really going on with politics right now. So the 22nd Congressional District, that's from Key West, all of Monroe County, and a good portion of Miami-Dade County. And
26.
Right now there's a Democrat in there.
Yes, 26th Congressional District. It's from Southwest 8th Street to Key West, southernmost point, and all of the Florida Keys and Monroe. And so on the west side, it goes all of the west side of the state of Florida. On the east side, it kind of goes back and forth between 87th Avenue, the Turnpike, until it goes out to the water.
Okay, so basically you're running against Gimenez to be the Republican nominee that is going to take on, and what is the Democrat's name?
Debbie Merkersal Powell.
Okay, Demi Merkersar Powell. Okay, for anybody that doesn't know that, that is
Mhm.
who they're going to be running against. Now, I'm in the Reopen South Florida group,
Mhm.
and we have been taking on Mayor Gimenez, or he's been really taking us on, and
Okay.
it's been getting exhausting for the past couple of months. And I just the way he has just doubled down and doubled down on the masks, on the closures, on the taking
Mhm.
away rights, and the fact that the cases continue to increase. Do you think he's handling this COVID situation right?
I think this last decision was that backfired, and so he tried to readjust by letting the gyms open back up. And but I think he knowing that he changed his mind on the restaurant issue, that it would probably be, he's more concerned about the politics of it, instead of doing what I believe is right. Now, anybody can disagree with us. I understand that, but the truth of the matter is that our economy is hurting. Families are hurting. People need to work. It's more of a become if not already there, becoming an act of desperation for people to be able to put food on the table, be able to keep their homes. So people are ready to work. Look, all throughout this pandemic, I'm a lieutenant with the fire department, and we don't get days off. I mean, we could take a day off, but my point is, we're on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We take precautions, many a times for the safety of the patients, because with patients who are vulnerable. But I see these restaurants who have bent over backwards to follow CDC guidelines, to do everything they need to do to stay alive and stay open, and even then at a 50% capacity, and then had the rug pulled from under them in such a way that I think was just not in line with what we should be doing as elected officials, and working with our communities and make sure that we get to talk to everyone. I mean, you saw it with all the mayors who were up in arms with the decision, and I think it's a circumstance, unfortunate circumstance, at the expense of our community, our small businesses, and our employees who need to work.
It just seems like what is happening right now and what he's doing just does not seem to be working, and
Mhm.
he's gotten almost militant with these things. Now, you are a firefighter for 20 years.
Uh, Probably about almost 17 years. I think I'm coming up on my 17th year now.
Okay, you've been 17 years as a firefighter,
Mhm.
paramedic as well. Do you think that a different approach could help with bringing these cases down, other than just doubling down on business closures and pretty much destroying people's livelihoods?
Well, listen, the COVID is here and is real. It's not to be taken for granted. We definitely got to be careful. I gave the analogy this evening. I said, look, when we go into a fire, we put on bunker gear to protect ourselves. When we deal with a bloody victim, we put gloves on to protect ourselves. In our line of work, we've got to be able to put what we call PPE. I think these restaurants are doing what they need to do, as I was just mentioning, to survive. But I think that I think we all have to take responsibility. My grandmother's 99 years old. She had a stroke. Oh,
Wow,
you there? Yeah,
99.
yeah. She's 99. She had a stroke
Wow.
early March, right before the whole COVID pandemic,
Oh
and
boy.
and she was hospitalized for 2 months. So when she came out of the hospital, and I went to see her, I got tested, and when I went to see her, I covered up to protect her. I just, she's one of those folks who are vulnerable, and we need to make sure we take care of them. And that seemed to work well. She's doing fantastic, thank God. And
Wow.
we're just blessed that we were able to get through that. But I've seen it where people leave their families in the hospital and they don't let them see them, for a certain time frame, and it's been a difficult circumstances. But it's no one created this pandemic. It's as far as in the United States, we got to deal with it. And I think how we deal with it is we keep learning as we move along. Heard from some of the medical professions, so we keep moving forward. But I don't think this country can afford to shut down businesses any further, or they will be closed permanently, and the lives of Americans Americans will suffer because of this. And a lot of people don't have an option. I don't have an option. I have to go work on my as a first responder to save lives, and I think that businesses and others have to do the same.
It seems just like we're living in such a dark time. With like
Mhm.
so many people, including myself, and I've been fighting these mandatory masks. I'm not for taking everybody's right to wear a mask away, but I've been fighting these mandatory masks. I've been fighting against these shutdowns, but and I thought we were coming out of it. I thought we were finally moving. We're going to move through the phases and come out of it. Now, all of a sudden, shutdowns in California, shutdowns down here. Now, I know in Congress, you're not necessarily going to be doing this kind of stuff. I mean, this has been the local governments, the governor, stuff like that. But I think right now in this country, what we're looking for is not more divisiveness, but an inspirational message. Do you have a message for the people that are feeling depressed or down or drinking themselves into a stupor because they're depressed about what's going on? What is your message to the people in Miami right now that are really hurting?
Well, listen, we're going to get through this. This too shall pass. I do believe that every day we're finding more and more about what this virus is all about. And I do believe that now more than ever, it's an opportunity for us to unite and come together. A lot of this divisiveness out there, you mentioned it. But unfortunately, we're letting these things, what you hear out on in the media about the COVID to kind of become reality, and we've got to get our facts. The CDC guidelines were pretty clear. It said, protect yourself, be careful. The restaurants were very clear. We could have just proceeded cautiously. We are testing more people than anywhere in the world. That's why our numbers are spiking. That's why our numbers are going up. The death rates are low. I think that's all positive, but we've got to find that positive in this message, because I've been to people's homes who haven't come out of their house for 3 months. They're in all this thing, and it's scary. And I'll tell you a quick story. I ran on a guy. His neighbor called in and said, "Hey man, my neighbor hasn't come out of the house since the whole COVID. I leave food, but for the last 2 days he hasn't eaten." The guy was upstairs. We flagged him down. We had him come outside. When he came outside, the neighbor goes, "My God." I go, "What happened?" He goes, "Man, he's lost 80 pounds. He used to be my size. This guy was like this." And so what I'm afraid of is, there's just a lot of misinformation. We have a responsibility to communicate what you're doing here, to find ways to get through this and maneuver through this so that our economy doesn't suffer, the people don't suffer, the residents, the families don't suffer. And this is a time to come together. Let's, government should not be shoving this stuff down our throat. They should be educating, and all of us combined be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And that's what I'd like to see us have a conversation about how we get between now and the next month and the month after that we get through this difficult time. Yeah, okay. You'll excuse us, but my wife is driving, so I hope I'm not too
That's fine. I
distracted
see. I
here.
see you got your family there. Hello.
Yeah.
Do you want to introduce your
So
family?
that's my wife
Hello.
and my daughter back there,
Hi.
Lauren.
Hi, Lauren.
Uh, he says hi. You say
Awesome.
hi.
Campaigning with Dad. You having
Uh,
fun?
you having fun? As much
Awesome.
as could be
Awesome.
expected. Yeah,
Well, you got
yeah.
a beautiful family, and you have a
Thank you.
son as well. I saw on the pic.
Yeah, he's already home. He didn't come down with us today, so you know. But yeah, listen, man. I think it's been a long day. We've been on the road since this morning and trying to get back. But I want people not to lose faith. Not lose faith in government, and that might be hard. But that's exactly why I'm running in this race, because I think we the people need to stand up and start making sure that what government is doing kind of correlates with how we're feeling in the community. And I think that there's a lot of hope. My campaign was based on. Yeah, hold on. I got to put my seatbelt on. I'm getting the
Yes,
tap
put
on the
your
shoulder.
seatbelt
Hold on a
on.
second.
People compare seatbelts
Uh,
to masks, and I just don't even see the comparison. Go on. Finish what you were saying. I lost your audio there. I lost your audio. There we go.
can you hear me now?
Yep, can hear you now.
Yeah. Yeah. So I saw some of the stuff on social media saying, hey, mandating people wear snorkels now because of the rain or something like that. I mean, there's a lot of there's everybody has an opinion these days, but we've got to proceed carefully. The COVID thing is real, but it's here to stay. And I think we will get through this if we all just communicate and work together and help each other out. I'm sure you've got elderly parents or grandparents that you want to protect, and when you're around them, you want to make sure you're not putting them in a dangerous position. And my opinion, when you're dealing with vulnerable people, it's not you don't wear the mask. I don't wear the mask because I'm afraid to get it. I wear the mask because I like as if I had it to protect them. And that's my approach with my grandmother, and that's what we do in our line of work when we respond on sick people and people in need.
Now, as a firefighter and paramedic, I
Mm-hmm.
consider you an expert on PPE.
Mm-hmm.
Are these masks really protecting people from COVID? And
Mm-hmm.
if so, why does Miami, as being one of the strictest mask enforced places in the country, I mean, people are like, oh, you people in Florida are just partying it up and everything. I say, have you been to South Beach lately? It's freaking deserted. I've never seen anything like it in my life. There's nobody out, and
Right.
anybody that I see out has a mask on. So
Right.
if masks do prevent the virus, first my question is, do they prevent the virus? And if so, why are we seeing the spike in Miami?
Well, and it's not because of restaurants, in my opinion. And this is where I think it just has to do with a lot of the large crowds that are gathering. You saw some of these parties. I saw, and you know what? I think I go back to we're testing more people. But what happened 3 months ago was you saw elderly people, nursing homes, and people dying. But that's not happening as much anymore because they're being extra careful at the nursing home. Our youth are getting diagnosed with COVID. That's the statements they're making. But they're out and about, but they've got a strong immunity to fight it off once they get the antibodies. That they seem to be okay. I mean, unless you have underlying health issues. And listen, I've knocked on doors, and I remember knocking on a door where they had a sign saying, hey, our daughter has a congenital heart issue. Please stay away. There's a basket. If you have anything you want to leave it in the basket. Hey, that is what we need to be taking. That's what we need to be concerned with is making sure those people, if you've got a sick family member, that you're taking the extra precaution to protect them.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah. Do you think that this is being politicized due to the Republican convention coming down here?
I think there's more questions than answers. Look, I don't think any of us have all the answers, right? But there are a lot more questions than there are answers, and there are more answers today than there were 3 months ago. I do think that people are using it to. I do think that they're using it in a negative fashion to, as you mentioned, become a partisan issue. I feel that that's the everyday divide. So I don't believe that. Listen, my wife's a teacher. She's right next to me. She believes that we need to open the schools come the next school term. And why? Because several reasons. Number one is, she'll if several things that she noted. Number one, some parents don't have the options of caring for their kids during the day. Some of these kids need the schools because that's where they get their food from and they get their nutrition. They live in underprivileged, underprivileged children that need the school system in their everyday life. And for those that have the ability for their kids to stay home, they can take advantage of it. But you know, we are basing our information on these statistics that I think are very much flawed. I believe that I've heard this from three different people, none of the three related, but I've heard that people have gone to get have scheduled a COVID test, didn't make it to the COVID test, and then got a phone call 3 days later saying, "Hey, you were positive on your test." And I go, "That's interesting. I didn't take a test." You know, so I'm afraid that, look, the hospitals have more people in them with COVID. That is obviously a concern, and rightfully our hospitals are filling up with COVID patients. But I haven't, they're releasing people and telling them to go home because they can care for themselves at home to stay isolated. So there is a lot of questions, a lot more questions than are answers. And I think that, again, going back, the economy or the lack of, or this closing down of restaurants was not the sole reason why we did this. Look at Broward County. I'll give you an example. If you watched this weekend on TV, they had our mayor and then they had the Broward County mayor. In Broward County, they're not shutting down restaurants. They're having them follow CDC guidelines. Now, if you don't follow CDC guidelines in your restaurant and they find out, they shut you down for 24 hours. If you have a second violation, then they shut you down for 96 hours. That seems like the much more, and I don't want to say responsible, but the much more thought out, and fully a good working system, I should say. In this instance, where you're not giving these businesses opportunity, that's a problem. And listen, there are some restaurants that will not open during this COVID. That's they can do that. They can choose not to do it, just like people can choose not to go to restaurants and not go to public places. That is A-okay, but I'm driving down from Keys to Miami now, and there are a lot of cars on the road that have to get from point A to point B. And I don't think that we can shut down like we did for those 3 to 4 weeks back in March ever again. I don't think that's a realistic position. And I also feel that shutting down our economy is not realistic as well. So we're in this through this hard time. COVID is real, but we will need to work together and get through it. And I do believe that we'll get through it.
Okay, I want to just ask you two more questions. I want to get to President Trump, but about contact tracing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm crossing my fingers when I ask you this. What is your take on HR 6666 contact tracing and contact tracing as a way to stop this? Is that a violation of my privacy rights?
It's I think that the thought on contact tracing is to find out how to stop the spread of this disease. Maybe some more facts. I be honest with you, I haven't seen anything in regards to that issue, but Are you saying that if you get diagnosed, that they can do what against your privacy rights? And are you talking
Well,
about HIPAA specifically?
well, what they're proposing basically, and what they're doing in Miami now
Mm-hmm.
and Broward, is they are training these hundreds of people to basically call you or go to your home, find out who you've been in contact with, and anybody that tests positive,
Okay.
finding out who they've been in contact with, and then going and compelling them to give information about the restaurants they've been to and where they're going and who they've been with and things like
Okay.
that.
Yeah,
And
I better understand your question now. Listen, I don't think anybody has a firm grasp on this issue, and I think this is just another I don't want to say idea, but just another way to try to figure out how to contain this thing. What's my position on it? I'll be honest with you. I in my world there's HIPAA, and a lot of these things are protected through the HIPAA laws. But I'd have to really look at the scenarios specifically to see what it is that where they're actually violating people's rights. And again, if any of those violate HIPAA, then absolutely not an option, of course. But I don't know that we've done contact tracing here in Miami-Dade. From everything I've read, it's been a stalled horse, right? It hasn't taken off. They're looking for money. They're trying to hire the people. So I haven't seen it in action, and I really haven't seen the plan for that either. So I'd have to do some research on that.
all right.
Did I see something move behind you?
I gotta pick that up. My beloved American flag fell down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I didn't notice that, so it fell.
I'll pick that flag up. There we go. There. Well,
All
that
right.
was kind of embarrassing, but
Yeah,
no,
all
that's a
good.
good answer. I mean, HIPAA it covers that, and I think that's a good answer because anything that would violate our medical rights, our privacy rights,
Right.
and our right to our medical privacy, which is covered under the HIPAA laws. I mean, it should be respected. Absolutely. Now, when you get to Congress, you're going to be an ally of President Trump, correct?
Uh, yes, I support the president, and I will work with the president and continue to move this country in a forward direction. I'm not a political response, but I certainly feel that what we need is to work together as a nation. And I don't think President Trump has been given the support, from Congress. It's been, and listen, it's not that they're always all going to agree. We shouldn't believe that everybody's going to agree 100%. But the sabotaging, the Russian collusion, the impeachment trial, that kind of stuff is just un-American, in my opinion.
All right. And we already know where Carlos A. Gimenez stands. He voted for Hillary Clinton. He does not support President Trump in any way. He's on record right there talking about all this. I've reposted the sound clips,
Mm-hmm.
and I am happy to fully endorse Omar Blanco for
Thank you.
Congress in Miami. And Mr. Blanco, how can people help your campaign right now?
Well, listen, right now we've got 35 days till election day. As we talked about, absentee ballots for those that requested have been mailed out. Early voting is August 3rd through the 16th, with election day on August 18th. We're going to be working around the clock and do whatever it takes to earn everyone's vote, one family at a time. Access to voters is money. And we know that our message is strong. And if we can get that to all the voters, we will be successful. And we feel very, very confident that we'll be victorious August 18th with the momentum that we've gotten and we will continue to get over the next 35 days. But if they want to help me out, they can go to omarblanco.com, make a contribution. Every little bit helps. I tell everybody, If everybody gave $10 that believes in what we're doing and wants to support us, uh, we would out fundraise the rest of the other candidates. So I do believe that there are a lot of like-minded individuals that want to protect our country. You know, for a guy like me whose parents came to this country 58 years ago, it's amazing to see that there's people that weren't born here, like Max Alvarez, who gave that incredible testimony yesterday with President Trump about his story from Cuba. That, to be quite honest with you, I think it just resonated with many of us who were raised with parents who came from Cuba and had everything taken away from them. You know, it's amazing to me that they're fighting for the very freedoms that this country has provided them, and we have a responsibility down here in South Florida to educate the rest of the country what has happened in Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua. Lastly, I think we should treat communism like we treat terrorism. It's just unacceptable, and we need to fight that with China. And so I'm prepared to continue to help the president and all of those that want to put it into socialism and protect this wonderful country.
omarblanco.com, Omar Blanco for Congress. If you can help in any way, help him. We need Omar Blanco in Congress. President Trump needs Omar Blanco in Congress. This is the guy right here. If you're in Miami or even close to Miami, in the Keys, please help Omar get elected any way you can. Thank you so much, sir, for joining me.
Hey, no problem. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to coming back soon. Hopefully we can do this again and not in the car driving back from the Keys. Hope that we can do this once again in the near future.
Oh, this was great. This was great. Me too. I hopefully next time we talk, you have blasted through that primary and we can talk about you taking on your Democratic opponent in November.
Amen, brother. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you. And please share this podcast. This is Chris Nelson. You've been listening to the Reopen America podcast. You can listen to this on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and of course, right here on Facebook. Do not forget to click that like and share button. This is Chris Nelson. Continue the fight to reopen America. Thanks for listening.